Are you a slave to debt? You know that glowing screen offering on the TV, instant loan approval? Oh, that sleek car that they call manageable monthly payments. Or the dream home that locks you in for 30 years. We're often told that these are just stepping stones, tools to build a better life. But what if they are more than just financial tools? What if, for so many of us, they've quietly become invisible chains, binding us? Think about this. Global household debt has shot up like crazy. For millions, the sheer pressure of these payments dictates their everyday lives. It shapes their choices, their careers, even their peace of mind. It's like this silent stressor, a constant hum of worry that for some just becomes overwhelming. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about the quality of your and my life. Are you genuinely free, or are you, when it comes right down to it, working to service the bank's payments, the credit card company, or maybe some other lender? The modern chains what debt looks like today. In today's world, debt has a lot of disguises, often showing up as normal, even essential part of living. We've got credit cards, right? They promise convenience, even rewards, but so often they drag us into that cycle of minimum payments and interest that just keeps piling up. Then there are car loans, making a new vehicle seem within reach, but they tie us down to years of payments for something that loses value the second we drive it off the lot. Student loans, an investment in your future, they tell you. Sure, but for many, they've become the crushing weight that puts life's goals on hold for decades. And of course, your home mortgage. The classic symbol of being a grown-up, of stability, but also, let's be honest, usually the biggest and the longest financial commitment most people will ever make. Taken one by one, each of these might seem reasonable, like a calculated risk or a step you might have to take, but add them all together and they can weave a serious, complex web of obligations. That feeling of being indebted, it's more than just a financial reality. It's an emotional and psychological heavy lift. It's that knot in your stomach when an unexpected bill pops up. It's the constant mental gymnastics of juggling due dates. It's that nagging underlying anxiety that your income isn't really yours. It's already been spoken for, it's committed. It's that feeling of being boxed in. Your choices are getting smaller and your dreams are being pushed further and further away, all because of what you owe. For many, this isn't freedom. It's a modern kind of servitude, a state where your life's best energy goes to paying off these financial masters. Now let's look at some ancient wisdom. Thousands of years ago, long before anyone was worrying about a variable interest rate or a digital credit score, some ancient wisdom that popped up pretty stark. It says, the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is the slave of the lender. Now, this isn't just some dusty old observation. It's a deep insight into how debt actually works. It's a truth that hits uncomfortably close to home in our daily lives. Back when it was written, this proverb probably pointed to a clear power difference that had spoken to the people. If you had wealth, you had influence, and owing something automatically put you in a position of being under them as a slave. While we might not face being literally enslaved for our unpaid debts in our day, In most places today, we are slaves, but not like it was in ancient times. The chains of today might be a bit harder to see, a bit stronger in a sense. Let's break it down. This ancient warning applies to our everyday financial tools. That credit card in your wallet? Let's face it, the company that gave it to you are setting the interest rate. They are setting the fees. They are setting the penalties. They call all the shots. They tell you by what date you have to pay. And miss a payment, and they've got power. They mess with your credit score, which can affect your chances of getting another loan or renting an apartment, sometimes even affecting your ability to land a new job. They can come after you for what you owe, adding a whole lot of stress and pressure to your life. In that relationship, who's really holding the power? The lender. Let's face it, he rules. He's the one that can do and call all the shots. Think about your car loan or your mortgage. You are bound for years or even decades. You are legally stuck. You have to make those payments. You're committed. The obligation can end up deciding where you live, even the job you feel you have to keep, and the financial risks that you just can't afford to take. The fear of having your car repossessed or your home foreclosed can be constant. Low-level anxiety can struggle in your life, subtly steering your life big decisions. You are in a very real way working to pay the lender before you can work towards your own dreams and your own freedom. The borrower is therefore indeed slave to the lender. This is not to say that all borrowing is automatically bad, but to ignore this built-in power imbalance that's created and the potential to feel like a servant, that's like walking into the world of finance with a blindfold. The wisdom of Proverbs 22:7 urges us to see debt not just as a tool, but as a binding relationship that seriously impacts our freedom. Now let's look at the borrower as a slave a little bit more. The slavery that Proverbs 22 was talking about was not just about money changing hand. It was all about this massive shift in power and independence. When you borrow, you are essentially making a pact, a commitment, an agreement where the lender lays down all the rules. They've got the leverage. And this power imbalance isn't just some theory. It shows up in real, tangible ways that can deeply mess with your life. The psychological weight of debt is huge. Study after study and countless personal stories have shown us that the significant debt is a major trigger for stress, anxiety, depression. It's a constant mental burden, a persistent worry that can chew away your peace of mind and spill over into relationships, even affecting your health and just your general well-being. The pressure to keep up with payments can lead to sleepless nights and make you feel pretty bad about yourself, as people might feel like a failure or carry a lot of shame. This is part of what it means to be a slave. Here, your mental and emotional energy is held captive by what you owe. And beyond the internal battles, there are the practical limits that chain you. Career choices. Often they're not anymore driven by passion or purpose, but by the urgent need to earn enough to service your debt. You might find yourself stuck in a job you can't stand, Or you might have to kiss those entrepreneurial dreams goodbye because the risk just feels too high when those monthly payments are always looming. Big life goals like starting a family or going back to school, doing traveling or investing in that cool opportunities often get pushed to the back burner indefinitely because your money is already promised to lenders. What's more, debt can suck into you in a dangerous cycle. One loan taken out to cover an emergency can easily lead to another if your income doesn't keep up with the payments and the ever-growing interest. High interest consumer debt, like the kind from credit cards or those payday loans, is especially notorious for trapping people. You feel like you're on a treadmill, paying out heaps in interest, barely making a dent in what you actually owe, and working so hard but getting absolutely nowhere. This isn't the freedom we all are hoping for. It is clear that the echo of that ancient warning about the borrower ending up under the thumb of the lender. Your future choices, the resources you have, and even your daily peace can become hostages to borrowing, even to borrowing decisions you made in the past. It's all a question of, well, we need a nuanced approach. It's important to get something straight. It's not that all debt is necessarily bad. There's a warning. Built in is a danger. The reality of the relationship that's being created by debt. Not necessarily a thumbs down on every single loan. There are times when borrowing can be carefully thought out, and some would even ask, isn't it a tool for progress? And yes, it could be. But there's a big if in this. You have to manage it with extreme wisdom and a whole lot of caution. Let's look at a mortgage. If you've really thought it through for the modest, affordable home, one that doesn't stretch you too thin, it could be seen as a smart way to build equity over a long time, instead of just throwing money away on rent forever. In the same way, a business loan taken with a clear, solid plan for making much more income than the loan costs might also be seen as an investment. Some observers have even said that certain debts, like for education and a home, can be means to an end, potentially ending up opening doors for a higher income down the road. But there's a crucial difference. It all comes down to the kind of debt and the position it puts you in. The Bible consistently pushes for being sensible, diligent, and trying to avoid unnecessary financial ties. The key question is, does the debt serve a genuine constructive purpose? Is it manageable without causing a crazy stress or making you feel like a servant? And is there a clear and guaranteed way to pay it back? The second, a borrower doesn't have a rock-solid plan or a guaranteed way to pay back, that debt becomes super risky and leads right into the servitude the prophet warns us about. A major concern, one that financial commentators often bring up and that scripture seems to caution against, is what's called consumer debt. That's borrowing for stuff that loses value or for a lifestyle you can't really afford. Credit cards used for impulse buys, loans for fancy items, those other pay now, pay later deals that tempt you into snap purchases, those often lead straight into the debt trap. This is where the borrower is slave to the lender. This is the dynamic that becomes a reality, intense and damaging, creating constant financial pressure for things that only give you a fleeting bit of happiness. And don't forget, Scripture really emphasizes the moral duty to pay back what you owe. In Psalm 37:21 it says, "The wicked borrow and do not repay, but the righteous shows mercy and gives." This just highlights how serious it is to get into debt. That agreement, it's a promise, it's a commitment. You are bound by it. You have to pay it. That obligation itself, when it's heavy, adds to that feeling of servitude. The wise move is to keep those obligations to a minimum, so you can hang on to your freedom and your integrity, the path forward. Realizing you're caught in these chains is the very first step to breaking them. If that description of debt slave hits a little too close to home, please know this: it's not a life sentence to a financial servitude. Freedom is possible, but it will take a conscious change in how you look at things and some deliberate action every day. The journey kicks off with a major mindset shift. You've got to start seeing debt not just as a financial tool, but through the lens of Proverbs 22, as something that can potentially trap you and put you under the authority of lenders. Recognizing this is incredibly powerful. It moves you from being a passive player in the debt game to someone actively fighting for their liberation. From a new way of thinking, several principles for financial freedom begin to stand out. Principles you'll hear in ancient wisdom or common sense, and solid modern financial advice. So start by embracing the wisdom of avoiding unnecessary debt. This is huge. Before you can even think about taking on that new debt, ask yourself, is this absolutely necessary? Is there another way? Could I save up for this instead? Your default setting should be to steer clear of borrowing unless it's truly essential and makes strategic sense. So often, it's lifestyle choices that lead people into debt. Taking a hard look at those choices is key. The second principle: practice financial diligence. This means rolling up your sleeves and doing the practical stuff. Start by creating a budget, tracking your spending, and living within your means. Creating a budget isn't about restricting yourself. It's about taking control. It's about telling yourself where your money should go, instead of scratching your head and wondering where it all went. Knowing where your money is the first step to shifting away from paying off debt towards building freedom to spend what you want. Cultivate contentment over consumerism. So much of our modern debt is fueled by this endless chase for more or better. The newest gadgets, the trendiest clothes, a bigger house, a newer car. Scripture often talks about the power of being content. Check out what Philippians 4:11 tells us about this. Learning to be happy with what you have, rather than always chasing what you don't, can massively reduce the temptation to borrow. It also lets you appreciate the freedom that comes from simply needing less. Materialism is a lie that can chain you to debt. Embrace stewardship. Thinking of your resources, no matter how modest they are, as something you can manage for a higher purpose, can totally change your financial priorities. This encourages you to use money responsibly, thoughtfully, instead of just impulsively spending with borrowed cash. Lastly, seek wisdom in all your financial decisions. If you're a believer, pray for guidance. If you're facing a big financial decision, especially one that involves debt, get some sound advice. This could be from a trusted financial advisor who gets the principles or the resources that focus on biblical finance. Don't try to make these big calls only by yourself. If you're really in debt, the road to freedom means creating a solid repayment plan. This might involve strategies like the debt snowball, where you pay off the smallest debts first and choose quick psychological wins, or the debt avalanche, where you focus on the high interest debts. It's going to take discipline, some sacrifice, and looking at the long game. But every single debt you pay off is another chain broken. This isn't about some quick fix or a magic pill. It's about completely reorientating your relationship with money and debt, grounding it in wisdom. It stood the test of time. It's a journey from being a servant to lenders to becoming a steward of your own resources, free to live a life of purpose, not just a life of obligations. I want to ask you to take a moment right now and really be honest with yourself about your relationship with debt. Do you feel the weight of those chains we are being asked about? In what ways do your financial obligations limit your freedom or dictate your choices? I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. What does Proverbs 22 verse 7 mean to you in your life today? What steps are you taking or thinking about taking to get back on your financial freedom? Your story could be a very thing that inspires someone else. If this message resonates with you, if it sparked a desire for a different kind of financial future, please think about subscribing to this channel for more insights on faith, finance, and genuine freedom. And if you know someone who might be feeling trapped by debt, please share this video with them. Sometimes just unmasking the problem is the first step towards solving it. Furthermore, I've created a template that you can use for budgeting. It's a Google sheet, very easy to use. If you want it, put your email address in the comments and I will forward it to you. The siren song of easy credit and the fact that debt has become so normal in our society can blind us to a very old truth. That one that the Bible refers to, where the borrower is the slave to the lender. It's just not a quaint old saying. It's a powerful lens we can use to take a hard look at our modern financial lives. It calls us to see that those credit card statements, those loan agreements, and those mortgage papers are more than just pieces of paper. They represent a claim on our lives, on our future, our time, our freedom. But understanding this isn't meant to make you feel bad. It's meant to be the first step to being set free. By unmasking the true nature of debt, by admitting its power to enslave, we empower ourselves to make different choices. We can choose diligence over debt, contentment over chasing more stuff, and financial wisdom over what society pressures us to do. Reclaiming your freedom from the chains of debt isn't just a financial goal. It's a path to a life with less stress, more options, and a greater ability to live generously and with a purpose. The journey might demand a sacrifice and discipline, but the freedom waiting for you on the other side, the freedom from being a debt slave, is a price worth more than words can say. It's achievable, and it all starts with understanding the ancient yet incredible relevant warning. The lender enslaves the borrower.